maybe they can get by and come up with their own conversational UI. Maybe the agents that they deploy can, actively do things for you, and which is what they should do. And you don't, need to interact in the old parts of the system in the same way. I don't know, but it is a trend that you're seeing more and more, that the enterprise apps tend to move behind the scenes and the UI is separated in a way that is much more conversational.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our number 1 priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
Hello and welcome to Analysts Gone Wild. It's a beautiful day in October. It's sunny in Virginia Beach, where I'm at. Robert Kramer with more insights and strategy. And let's introduce the team. But real quick, I cover data, enterprise apps, ERP, supply chain management, and anything else that's around that. So guys, ladies, how we doing today? We got a new person on the show today. Blair, you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm Blair Pleasant. I'm president and principal analyst of Confusion, which is me, and also co-founder of BC Strategies. And I cover CX, contact center, customer engagement, and also unified communications. Not so much on the ERP side, so I'll be bringing a different perspective.
Love it. Thank you. Michael, how you doing today?
Doing great. Good to be back.
Thank you.
So Michael Fawcett, founder, CEO, chief analyst, Arian Research. We tend to focus a lot these days on AI, agentic AI particularly, and its intersection with enterprise apps, CX primarily, and also, of course, ERP and supply chain.
Great. And you're located where again?
Well, typically, my home is in New Jersey, but I'm actually in Georgia right now. So,
and Blair, where are you at?
I'm in Northern California in Santa Rosa and Sonoma County, where they grow really good wine.
I heard about that.
Yes,
I don't know. I thought that was a good place to get some wine. Sam, have you been there? I mean, you're so worried about the Toronto Blue Jays.
I lived there.
Oh.
Yeah, I definitely lived there. And, the place I am at, it may not be the most warm and sunny, but it is the most happening place right now because this is the land of Blue Jays. And Robert, I mean, if you ever want to consider moving here, I mean, we welcome pretty much everybody,
Yeah. It's a beautiful place. I mean, you got the Niagara Falls just around the corner. You have the Buffalo Bills not too far away. I mean, it's a sports mecca. The only problem you have is you need some warm clothes.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
need lots of warm clothes.
Technically, we have wine too, and I don't know if the wine is good enough to charge tariffs on that, to be completely honest. But we have wine too. All right, guys, so Sam Gupta, principal here at Elevate IQ. I'm also host of the WBS Talks podcast. Our focus is, we try to pretend that enterprise software, but we are definitely biased towards ERP.
Great. Well, we got a lot of great stories today. Should we hit the first one about BlackLine?
Yeah, we should.
So they launch Verity, and BlackLine is Verity is a trusted AI solution developed for the financial market, right? And Sam, you can correct me if I'm wrong. So they're targeting compliance, risk, to be efficiency in finance operations. Why is this important? That's what we want to kind of talk about. Does it accelerate more intelligence for finance, helping customers modernize? Is this hype or is it real? Is there a business impact for everybody? Are the customers benefiting from this? I think probably the answer is it's a good step forward. But what do you all think?
I mean, I love the concept of, and as you know, I wrote a book about the idea that digital workforce, hybrid workforce is what's happening, right? And that's, I think, the approach they've taken is here are digital employees that'll work alongside your finance and accounting folks. But I think the one that particularly jumped out to me, and I think is extremely important, and you're going to see this more and more, is this idea of building governance and ethics by design. So the governance capabilities built in, embedded in the platform. And I think that's going to be really important, particularly when you're talking about finance and accounting.
Yeah, and I really I think is it pronounced Verity or well,
No
anyway,
idea.
it's the Latin name for truth, and I think that's so important
I
when we
like
think
that.
about, finance. And, for finance, trust and truth are so important. And, the whole idea of this product is to be that trusted solution for CFOs. And a lot of financial companies and financial professionals, they avoid AI because of privacy and governance issues. So this is really aimed at, helping these finance professionals feel more comfortable using AI by focusing on, that governance, auditability, transparency and things. And because it is purpose built for CFOs and financial professionals, I think it's really important for them to have that focus. And also, it talks the same language. It understands their specific needs instead of just being a generic AI. So I like that part. I mean, in general, it's a co-pilot like we have in every other industry. But I think it really is trying to focus on what makes those financial people feel more comfortable with it.
Yeah, trust is such a big thing. You mentioned it, a few times there, but if you look at the buyer's journey, trust is probably the main thing that they look at when they make a purchase of anything. And I think that that's going to be more prevalent with AI, because AI adoption is not there's no simple button, So, Sam, what do you think about that?
Yeah, so this is very interesting, and I'm going to give slightly different take on that, which you always joke about, Robert. And
Like holding
Blair,
my breath.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Blair, I mean, you might feel that, I mean, this is ERP, but if you speak to ERP folks, they are going to say, what the hell is BlackLine? I've never heard of them. Okay, so that's how their identity is going to be in the ERP community, at least. Overall, from the market positioning perspective, my take on their offering is going to be that they are more of the treasury solution. And if you guys are not familiar with that, that's going to be any sort of bank integration. And when you talk about the real integration with the bank, obviously ERP can claim that they can integrate with the bank as well, but they rarely do. That's not a real integration.
Right.
This is the real integration, where you are literally managing the accounts. So you have direct competition with companies like Bank of America, Chase. What they are trying to do is they are trying to position themselves as more of the centralized treasury solution. But obviously their best interest is going to be keep all your money inside Bank of America. Okay. So in this particular case, obviously they are trying to claim that they are going to have a little bit of AI, FP&A. That's not how AI and FP&A is supposed to work. Obviously, BlackLine is very broad in terms of their treasury offering. When you are looking for the centralized view in terms of all of your, bank accounts, not bank of accounts. I'm too much into Bank of America today, right? So too many bank accounts and too many credit cards, and you have to manage them centrally. You have to plan your cash. That's where these guys are going to be really, really important. But again, I don't see this as more of the FP&A play, even though they are fairly prominent vendor, I would say, in the treasury space.
Okay.
Robert, I mentioned this survey before, but I did this agentic AI survey earlier in the summer. And one of the things that was really clear is there are tiers of adoption inside companies today. Like CX, you see this all over, customer experience. You're starting to see, move out into, and obviously IT dev. But when you get low on that list, tier 3, tier 4, you're starting to get into things like finance, accounting, legal, places that are highly regulated. So I think this is important from that perspective, right? They're giving you a way to build this single source of the truth for financial data that is going to be extremely important in building trust and in meeting these compliance and governance goals. So from that perspective, I like the approach. I like Sam, I'm not that familiar with BlackLine in general, but I think the approach makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. I'm not familiar with BlackLine either, but they're basically doing what needs to be done as far as
Mhm.
adding some agentic and copilot types of capabilities.
Yep.
They've got this thing they call Vera, the AI team lead, who directs and coordinates the different specialized agents, and so it's basically an orchestrator to manage the different agents. So they're doing the right things as far as adding that agentic layer. They've got the orchestrator, which is really important. They've got the copilot type thing to make it easier. So again, I can't talk about, BlackLine as a company, but as far as, adding these agentic capabilities and copilot type capabilities to their product, I think makes sense because that's what everybody's doing and you really need to be doing it. So it looks like they're kind of, you know,
Yeah.
doing the next step as far as
Absolutely.
what needs to be done to get adoption for, or for their current users to make them feel like, okay, this company is bringing me to the next step where I need to be.
Yep. Wonderful. Closing thoughts, Sam, or should we move to the next one?
I mean, the only closing thought I'm going to have here is I don't like the name Black Line. Everything should be called Blue Line today because it's the these are days of Blue Jays, so everything should be Blue
Oh,
Line
Oh,
right
you
now.
are single focused, aren't you?
yeah.
Yeah, very single focused.
So, are you a fair weather fan? Or are you like, throughout? I mean, if they're losing, are you still like, wearing your Blue Jays hat on a Saturday afternoon?
Pretty
Like a Cubs
much.
fan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's well, we'll get to baseball throughout this, but
So
it's a,
I'll still brag about them, Robert. Let's put it this way, even if they are losing.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's exciting because they have a tough competition with that. The American, what is it? The American League East, is that the division? I mean, it's
Yep.
with the Boston Red Sox and the Yankees with all their money they spend. It's
They are already gone now.
Yeah, they're already gone. So how great
Yeah.
is that? So
Yeah.
I'm rooting for you, especially because you're excited about it. So let's go talk a little bit about Versari. I'm not sure if I said it right, but in Fluent Commerce have a strategic partnership. This is somewhat important because it's connecting the back office with the front office. I think their retail is an industry that they're prominent in, and it's allowing some of these connectors, AI-enabled connectors, to move that data and process flows in commerce. And I think that this partnership is going to help reduce, some of that integration piece that they've been looking for. So, thoughts, comments?
I mean, there's a subtlety in this too that's interesting because as you know, in previous shows, we've talked a lot about MCP and how that really helps, agents use tools. But MCP today has some real serious limitations, particularly, when you talk about context, because the context window provides limits on what you can, put through. There's some issues with some of the reasoning. MCP doesn't work well in really complicated agent environments. This is taking a different approach that is having agents manage the integration, which means it'll work at any level, and you get a more comprehensive way to do some of the like lower level things, some of the reasoning, some more complex sort of integrations, and those should be self-maintaining. Now, I don't know these guys very well, so I don't know if that works, but the idea is really powerful. That and I think we talked about this once before about using agents to manage data. I mean, this is the same thing, only it moves into the integration part of it, and I think that's a really important concept.
Yeah, so some comments from my side, Robert. So obviously, I always like to find, place in the world for everybody. I guess every single vendor, right? So in this particular case, I guess when you look at Fluent Commerce, their real place is OMS, and OMS is sort of part of that
Yeah.
composable breed, composable community. And when you look at composable community, I mean, it gets a little lonely there, to be completely honest. Okay, you need people, and people, when I say, mean other software. But you don't have other software. So how do you manage in those situations? Because you are going to need a lot when you are playing as OMS. So in most cases, you are going to need WMS, TMS, so many different things that you need to have to be able to produce whatever you are claiming, and that is going to be mostly from the inventory perspective, right? So Versori is a very interesting platform. They are more of in the AI native play. AI native, iPaaS, integration platform, however you want to call them. So this is going to be the real time saving in terms of integration. So you require 1,000 integration, I can produce overnight, at least from the marketing claim perspective. I don't know whether they are able to. Sorry, go ahead, Robert.
Well, I mean, how well established are they in the iPass, Super iPass? You got some pretty stiff competition in that field, or do they play with certain size companies that they're more proficient or industry?
So, Robert, what we are competing here is when you talk about other legacy iPaaS vendors, their claim would be that I can probably integrate this in next 24 years. And AI native vendors are claiming that I can implement this in 24 hours, probably, or minutes. I get confused. I mean, whether they are talking about seconds sometimes. So that's the kind of speed that we are dealing with. So now, can we implement all of these 1,000 integrations within 24 days? That sounds like possible, at least from the marketing perspective. But I don't know how doable that is. But the speed that they are moving at, it's definitely impressive.
Let me ask you a question though. Don't you think when you line up those data files, I mean, there's no chance, probably zero, that they match, right? The new and the old. So how are they getting filled in? Because you still have to go backwards to go forwards.
So, Robert, I don't know when was the last time you sort of personally coded. I do code at times, even today, just to get a taste of what is happening in the market. But if you look at some of the legacy solutions, and when I say legacy, they are fairly modern. For example, Boomi. Okay, Boomi had very deep AI capabilities built in, and they had sort of the AI match function built as part of their.
Yeah, I'm familiar with all that, but what about the gap though? How is that getting filled? That's what I'm more interested in.
So in this particular case, I think they are able to do a lot more than what Boomi was able to do. And Boomi was very, very, very fast in terms of matching all of those interfaces. If you pointed, okay, I'm looking for two interface, it can point out all of the fields that you probably need to match. And that's how, even solutions like Zapier, which is not even respected in the iPaaS community, I guess. But they had the speed. So now we are talking about real AI and obviously Versori.
But so the thing is, everything you just said, I got it, and I'm familiar with that. But that's the problem, because who said that data is good, and who said I want it that way, and who said those processes that I had before I want going forward, and this is the chance to fix the data. So I think it takes a little bit more time than just a quick flip of the switch.
Well, but Robert, if you took this as the middle part of the process, right? And because they don't really talk about the data prep, data quality management piece, which is obviously extremely important. But if you took this as the next step, so you have some agentic system that deals with your data quality management on an ongoing way, and you hand off, so you do trust the data. I think that's the assumption here, that I have data I trust. It's scattered and it's in an extremely complex system. I mean, OMS can be particularly complicated. Then you've got this capability for the agents to create, manage, and improve your integrations as you define them over a period of time. That whole process makes sense. But we're not talking about the missing piece, how did I get the quality data? So good point. But also I suspect that's they're assuming that you already have gone down some path with that, right?
I think the assumption is I have 10 ERP companies or 10 ERPs, and I need to get it down to one, and I need to consolidate and get my data where it's more trusted. That's the part, Sam. That's what I'm talking about. How does that takes a little bit more to do than the 24 hours or whatever. That might be your 4 years. But anyway, I'm just talking out loud, because I think the reality is this is why some of these, not to to digress, and Blair, I do this sometimes. When you get into these big firms, and why they're not moving on from on-prem to the cloud, is because they have so much data and it's scattered, and they don't feel that they can trust that their data is going to be better than it is right now, moving to these new systems, because the trust situation. But Sam, I don't know. You might have a different view than I do, but how do you get the most impact? Why would I want to take my existing data that's okay to a new system why would I go through that pain?
Yeah. So just to be clear, I guess, Robert, so the goal of these connectors is not necessarily to consolidate.
I know. I was going to a different direction just to talk about trust and data, but
Yeah. So, I mean, some people might feel that. I mean, they might have the same outcome as they are going to get with the consolidation use cases, but that's not how integrations work. Generally, integration, when you cannot afford to consolidate or when you don't have a need for that, then you would be integrating. So here, let's say if you have 10 different ERP systems, you need to bring all of that data to your CRM for whatever reason, then you would be exploring something like that. But again, when you look at these productized centric integration use cases, they don't necessarily solve your tailored problems. Tailored problems, especially from data and process perspective that you are talking about, they are always going to be there regardless of how innovative the platform is or how much speed they can operate at, because these things are built with certain assumptions in mind, and those assumptions fall flat when you talk about real world.
Yeah, but that's the kicker of the success of AI and these companies going forward. And as we go talk a little bit more about, and we have in the past, event-driven, systems. So I think by not looking at the things that we're talking about, I think you're setting things up to not maximize what you could if it was really analyzed. And I think the companies are probably mostly doing that, the customers. But I'm just bringing something else to the forefront here to talk about. But anyway, any other feedback on this one before we go to talk a little bit about capacity?
Yeah,
I got nothing.
So capacity to acquire K-Launch. I believe that they've had a bunch of acquisitions.
This is the 13th.
13th acquisition.
Yeah.
And it talk about consolidating conversational AI capabilities. So it's helping with our automation and digital engagement. And this is important because it spans the ecosystem, specifically on intelligence and customer service. So with the customer service people we have on the horn here, I think that you probably have some good feedback and how this shapes things up for the landscape for the customers and for the vendors. What do we all think about this one?
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting acquisition. It basically they're adding a new vertical plus some AI capabilities for capacity. So capacity provides what it calls an omni-channel support automation platform. Using AI and Gen AI to provide IVAs or intelligent virtual agents, for self-service and agent assist, over a variety of channels. And then K-Launch, who they acquired, they provide conversational AI for B2B and B2C, really focusing on like government agencies and nonprofits. So capacity is built mainly for retail and e-commerce. So to me, it seemed, and K-Launch is, government, healthcare, nonprofit, sports and entertainment. So to me, it really looked like a vertical type of, where capacity is really trying to expand their vertical footprint, because they both really emphasize the verticals that they're in. So to me, it really looked like, that, like I said, expanding their vertical footprint. But they both offer, conversational AI and Gen AI. So you have to wonder, where's the overlap? How are they going to integrate? Because there's definitely going to be a lot of overlap. And, capacity, as you mentioned, Robert, they've been doing a lot of acquisitions. And they acquired Call Criteria and Verbio technologies recently. So they're definitely, on a mission to, pick up lots of good technology. So not well-known brands necessarily, but really good technology to create more of that total AI-based customer engagement platform, but without the CCAP part. So Verbio provides some conversational AI and, really like the speech technology, the speech rec, text-to-speech, voice biometrics. So it's really the foundational types of capabilities. And Call Criteria, they offer QA automation tools for workforce optimization, again, using speech analytics, generative AI for things like agent coaching. So it looks like Capacity really is trying to expand and build out their customer engagement and support capabilities, again, without that CCAS part that they don't have. And, there's so many vendors offering conversational AI for customer engagement. So it looks to me like Capacity is, basically acquiring these different technology vendors to expand their capabilities and also the vertical offerings to set themselves apart. So whether that'll help them or not, that seems to be the approach they're taking. I don't know if it's the right one or not, but that's definitely their MO.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right about the expansion point, right? I mean, it's government and nonprofit focused. That's a tough place from a conversational perspective. It's different than the other verticals they serve. So maybe that was a weakness they felt and an area of opportunity. So it gives them capabilities that they just couldn't easily modify their current system to accommodate.
Yep.
So, Michael, I'm probably going to have a question for you. So, why do you feel the conversational use cases are going to be different in those spaces? Maybe provide some colors there.
It's each use case and each capability to monitor, manage, governance, compliance, particularly, is different depending on the vertical, right? And when you're talking about government, there's a great deal of risk and opportunity when you build citizen management systems that have conversational interfaces. And so there's a certain amount of knowledge, and frankly, it may not even really be the technology they wanted. It may be that vertical knowledge of the company and the developers, the engineers, the salespeople, all those things. Maybe
The
that's really
language.
more of it. Yeah, the language, exactly. And so I mean, I think, depending on the vertical, some are easy to move across and they aren't different, but a lot of them do have some twist or turn that you need unique knowledge to deal with as you build out that part of the system.
Yeah, there's domain specific
Yeah.
knowledge and expertise, for each of these. And, there's different, terminology, there's just so many things that are specific for these different verticals. So, so many companies say, oh, we're in, this and that, this vertical. It's like, well, what are you really doing in that vertical? What are you doing that's different? Just because you have one use case and one customer in that vertical doesn't make you a vertical expert. So
Right.
so it really does take a lot to have that vertical expertise. So it looks to me
Yeah.
like Capacity really is trying to expand to not just be all things to everybody, but these are the areas where we really shine. So if you, Mr. Customer, are in this area, we've got the expertise and the domain knowledge and the knowledge bases and everything that you need. So we're not just a generic you know Gen AI. We really can serve your specific needs.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah. So I completely agree with you guys. Overall, I guess.
Is that unusual?
Yeah.
Is that unusual for you to agree?
That he agrees.
Yeah.
Actually, it is.
First time on this show, I guess. Let's make it a
Oh,
big
Jose,
comment.
I agree, but
I didn't mean it.
yeah, he's caveats it every time.
Yeah. So in this particular case, I guess, my take on the story was more of the conversational AI play. And I think you did mention that, Blair, a little bit. So a lot of companies, they are claiming that they have AI capabilities as well as conversational AI capabilities. And I don't know if Capacity had that. Sometimes that is sitting somewhere in the marketing material. And the only reason why a lot of companies got these AI capabilities so fast is because they simply changed their marketing copies overnight. To claim SEO traffic, I guess nobody wanted to miss on that. And then they sort of wanted to figure out, okay, how they are going to get all of these capabilities. So in my mind, I guess this trend is very well aligned with a lot of other vendors. For example, HubSpot, they have done the conversational AI acquisition as well. We have seen that with a lot of different vendors. I don't remember each of the names that we have covered, Robert, in this show. But a lot of companies are doing very similar. But in this case, I think this makes sense far more, I guess, at least in my mind, when I look at the customer engagement plus conversational AI. That's where you are going to have the real play. You have a little bit in CRM, but customer engagement is where the real, mix is.
Yeah, and customer engagement has definitely been, the use case for, so many companies for where they're getting started with Gen AI, certainly with the Agentic AI. And Capacity does have, the conversational AI, which is kind of table stakes now for, any customer engagement company.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's go talk a little bit about Blue Yonder. So they're a pretty significant player in the supply chain management market. They introduced some new features to their transportation management solution. I think this is a pretty significant deal because of the fact of it's a area that companies need automation. So some of the features, and Sam, you can probably add some more color to this, but I think it's greater predictive analytics, obviously by AI for route planning, shipment tracking, which is a big deal. Support for multi-leg transportation, automation, upgrades for carrier assignments, payment auditing, et cetera. But there's a refresh in their dashboards and things of role-based views. But this is an area that we have talked about for a long time, Sam, and I think hopefully you'll agree with me. I'll hold my breath, but it's
Yeah,
something that
definitely.
you can never not have enough innovation. It's something that is an area where companies sometimes, I think in the past, it's been like a blinded spot where they haven't put a lot uh, I think need that the companies thought it was a priority, but it is a huge priority. It's an area where it needs a lot of attention, and Blue Yonder's done a really good job. What do we all think about this?
I mean, it comes back to data again. It seems like here, right? The complexity of a supply chain or transportation management solution that has to go across a lot of different players, a lot of different systems. You need some way to manage that data in a seamless way across all those different systems and relationships. So, I mean, it is a problem, and it seems like this is a reasonable way to think about going after that data layer to make it usable across the whole supply chain.
Yeah, so guys, I'm going to provide quick background. Obviously, when you look at these things, I guess they look very similar. When you look at Blue Yonder, when you look at E2 Open, they appear very similar in terms of what they are trying to do. But overall, the intent of the story here is Blue Yonder had acquired a company called One Network Enterprises, and they were really into this whole real-time, transportation visibility sort of platform. I don't remember, the real-time network is probably the right term for that. So if you look at E2 Open had their own network, and with AI, you need network, you need access to data. So that's where E2 Open was doing really well, and Blue Yonder had a lot of different partnerships, but they did not had the same control as E2 Open, and because of that, the insights that they were able to offer was far more accurate, I guess, compared to, at least from the marketing claim perspective. I don't know who's right, but technically they had control to their own network. They had a lot more data, I guess. You can get a lot more data from the partnership perspective as well, but you are sort of relying on others. In this particular case, they acquired One Network. One Network wasn't as complete as how what E2 Open has, at least again from their marketing claim perspective. It's very hard to evaluate who's right, but now at least they have the network, and because of that, they are going to have network plus the analytics engine plus the execution, which is going to be your WMS, OMS, GMS, all of that combined, as part of their portfolio. So that's the real intent of the story, that they have not only acquired, but now they have integrated seamlessly, I guess, as part of their portfolio.
Okay. Well, how much do you run across their competition, and how do you think that this helps with their differentiation with the competition, or just more it needed to happen?
So it does. E2 Open was getting a lot more logos, I guess. They are fairly new, I would say, in the market. Blue Yonder is kind of a legacy vendor, even though they have a cooler name now. They used to have very different name before. So they had acquired a very small company and they took their name. That's how they became cooler. But if you
Like
look at
Blue Jays, Blue Yonder, I mean,
Yeah.
is that the connection that you like, or is it more that you like the software?
Oh, I mean, anything related to blue is always going to be great, right? That's why I'm talking so much about them today, right?
That's why you have a blue shirt on. You always have
Exactly.
one on.
Yeah. We picked this because of Blue Jays, so now you can see. I mean, when they were not doing as good, Robert.
Exactly. So, well, any closing thoughts on Blue Yonder here before we jump to our friends at Acumatica?
Yeah, the only thing I'm going to say is stay blue, stay cool.
Well, so Acumatica is let's say a mid-market ERP vendor, cloud-based, and they have a new release, and it's an update that focuses a little bit more on AI and features of localization. I think it's a significant upgrade because it brings AI more into the forefront of their system. Um, but they're focusing pretty heavily on data. I think you mentioned that, Michael, in some of the past. But they're trying
Yep.
to have modernization for companies to understand what it is and why it's important to modernize and what AI can do for them. And then they're focusing on data management. And it's important for data management to be a component. So companies, when they do migrate or modernize or do whatever they're doing, they're able to actually capitalize on what's going on. But Sam, I mean, I know you have a pretty significant take on this as well. And does this bring them closer to their competition? Does this something significant? Because I do think a lot of these companies talk about industry specific, and I'm going to call it out. I think yes, they're having more industry capabilities, but I've been in the ERP world for a long time. Industry specific is not new. It's not even close to new. It's something that's always been there. I think it's just more marketed now. Maybe there's more features because we get into compliance, regulation, region, things of that nature, governance. But thoughts or no buts though. You got to either you follow either
That
you
was
agree or you
smooth.
disagree. But I'm sure you'll have disagreements, but maybe you can sugarcoat it a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to, sugarcoat in this case, and I'm going to say that, one thing that I don't like about Acumatica is their name. I mean, everything about them is blue, so their name should be Bluematica. Uh, Acumatica shouldn't be their name. It's not as cool. Um, but overall, from this story perspective, uh, Robert, I mean, to your point related to industry, focus and industry focus, a lot of vendors are talking about that. Acumatica, overall, from the strategy perspective, they had a very interesting strategy because they had the industry flavors built as part of their addition, as part of their product. So, which is slightly different than other vendors which simply acquired different products and they are simply trying to market. In this particular case, they have built everything from the ground up to support multiple industries, multiple business models. So
Yeah,
that
I don't think I was saying that they did that. I was just more saying that it's more prevalent in these discussions about ERP vendors because it's always been around, and SAP's focus was, long time ago was heavy on chemical, so and process manufacturing and things and discrete manufacturing. So I'm just saying in general, it's not new, but yes, you're right in what you're saying that they have been it's been one of their major plays is to be more industry focused, on construction and things of that nature. But go
Yeah,
ahead.
but overall, from the strategy, and I'm using, but I'm sorry, Robert. I have to start my sentences there, right? Uh, Overall, from the strategy perspective, Acumatica is a very horizontal vendor. Even if they have the industry flavors, even if they have the industry strategy, Acumatica, from the corporate strategy perspective, just like SAP, is meant to be slightly more horizontal vendor because they have their ecosystem. They rely on their partners. They need to make sure their partners are
Yeah, of
making
course.
money. It's not meant to be more of the Infor Apicore, which is slightly different strategy from the service perspective. So here, I guess what Acumatica has done in this particular story, number one thing that I really like is everybody has to have AI Studio. And Acumatica is getting that. If you don't have, I don't know why
Yeah.
you should be in business now. Um, and then obviously Acumatica is getting far deeper industry functionality, which blows my mind that they did not have all of that. For example, Project 360, Infor guys always had that. A lot of other vendors has always had that. Acumatica is sort of catching up in that functionality. So they are doing a lot more from the industry perspective. They always release something as part of each of their releases. The Project 360 is a big deal, even though their project object right now are not going to be as rich as other bigger vendors, but this is a great addition. The whole warehouse selection, again, that's a very rich functionality as well, to be completely honest, which is commendable that they are doing all of that. But again, catching up with the other vendors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not too familiar with this company at all. It's, not my wheelhouse, but, one of the things I saw was, users can personalize every screen, and fields and tabs. It's like, really? I mean,
Mm.
shouldn't that be something that's been done, like 10 years ago. So I'm a little confused about some of these things that they're, saying, we can do this now. It's like, shouldn't you have already been doing that?
So, Blair, on that point,
Well,
you'll be shocked how difficult that is, to be completely honest. A lot of
Okay.
SaaS companies that claim that they can do that, it's very rare that they'll be able to do that. In fact, I mean, Acumatica used to claim that before they got the actual functionality in their marketing material. So you might be able to go back and see this claimed before, but now they are getting the actual functionality where you are literally doing all of the CRUD operations on a screen and changing literally every single field, personalized for the user. That is very hard for a SaaS system because you are going to block your upgrades, and that requires far deeper design from the product perspective. And these guys are now sort of getting there, which a lot of other vendors already had that. Sorry, Michael, I'm pretty sure you're going to have a butt take on
no,
that.
well, I mean, I was going to take this slightly different direction because I think the UI piece was really interesting, but I think there's a different reason, and you're starting to hear this more and more from all the enterprise apps vendors. I think that they're starting to realize that more and more people are looking for conversational and much more collaborative UIs. In other words, Salesforce using Slack as a big part of their system now from an operating system or a front end piece. And I think you're going to see that more and more people get used to using conversational. They don't really want to use the old forms based stuff that they've been dealing with forever. They're hard to use. They aren't, very easy to configure, as you said. They're difficult to customize. So it seems to me like that might be an answer to that direction. The fact that they are starting to see, like, if we don't participate in this, making the UI usable to the individual more, or at least increase that capability, they're going to more and more be pushed behind the scenes, and people are going to be using other tools to interface and run the front end of any system.
Yeah. So, Michael, just one point there, I guess, when we compare, a system like ERP with something like Slack or something like Smartsheet, it's probably not a fair comparison, to be completely honest, because
Well,
that kind of rigidity that you are going to have.
that's yeah, but Sam, that wasn't what I was saying. What I said was the front end. Simple examples are, again, Slack and Salesforce. Salesforce, I get a new solution I want to get approved. How do the approvals work? They work in Slack. They don't work in, you could do them in Salesforce, but it's a pain. You start to see the usability moved out to different collaborative layers. Teams, they're doing some of the same kinds of things. So I'm not saying it can do those things. It can't. Slack is just a front end, but it is a collaborative front end that's very easy to use. And I think more and more you're going to see people looking for that, and in fact moving even more and more towards a conversation piece.
I don't know if that's the case, but Sam, the question for you: do you think this is a setup from Acumatica to go more towards an event-based ERP? And so what Michael said, I think, would be the other way around, where those details are going to be inside the ERP system. But Sam, what do you think about that question?
Yeah, so I guess in my mind, when you look at that use case, the one that Michael is mentioning, I guess ERP vendors are always going to try to protect their traffic, right? Because once that goes to other platform, obviously that's not good for the ERP or CRM vendors. So the goal of ERP and CRM vendors, what it is going to be is, you should be using my AI, not AI, UI. I'm using too much AI right now. I'm very AI native. Can you guys not see it?
I can see it.
So everybody is trying to protect their traffic. They are trying to make sure that everybody use their UI. And generally, the use case here, and I don't know where the event-based ERP conversation is coming from. I don't know who is talking about that, Robert, except you, I guess, in Forbes. I've never seen that before.
I thought you agreed with me a couple of weeks ago. Now you're out.
Are we live right now? Are we public?
My wife says I'm right like once a year. So I guess you told me I was right 2 weeks ago. Now I'm out.
So, that was 2 weeks ago. What'd you do for me lately?
Nothing. It was my Jerry Maguire moment. I can tell you that the systems of ERP are going to all events. It's a matter of when. So it has to. So anyway, Sam, you were finished.
So it's very interesting. I mean, I don't know at this point of time, to be completely honest, Robert. I mean, there is a possibility that once we have the whole AI workflows implemented inside applications, there is a possibility that we might get some flavor of event-centric functionality the way you are mentioning, but we are not there yet.
No, we're 3 to 5 years away. That's my prediction.
So what companies and users need is something like this. I mean, they care for this. If you go to a real ERP conversation right now, they are going to say, hey, you are showing me these 2000 fields. I don't necessarily care for that. So how can I see only 2 fields that I really, really do care for that? Sure, I can go to Slack or a smart sheet to map those workloads, but that is going to require work. Who's going to do that? Is that going to be Michael? Because I'm not doing that, right? So
I'm with you.
Do these SaaS applications help or hurt? Like you said, Smartsheet and Slack. I mean, that's another solution I have to maintain, and it has to be maintained. So is that a positive or a negative or indifferent?
If people prefer to use it and don't really use or want to be in those other systems, then it's a positive simply because you're getting people to use the application in a way that's comfortable for them and that they do, right? So I mean, is it good or bad? I don't know. I just think it is, right? The more I can operate in a way that I'm comfortable with as an individual, the more I want to use the system. And if that's the case, then you have to accommodate the shifting capabilities needed. And, maybe they can get by and come up with their own conversational UI. Maybe the agents that they deploy can, actively do things for you and which is what they should do. And you don't, need to interact in the old parts of the system in the same way. I don't know, but it is a trend that you're seeing more and more, that the enterprise apps tend to move behind the scenes and the UI is separated in a way that is much more conversational.
Right. Well, I think we have a good question from Ron Westfall. Thanks for joining, Ron. Do you want to go through that, Sam?
Yeah, we have a lot of questions, so let's go over them. Just 1 second. So let me change the layout first, and hopefully
they're all saying that your disagreements aren't, tasteful.
Yeah, they're calling me out. Yeah, I know, Robert. Okay, so I'm going to read this comment. So Ron, first of all, thanks for joining. So Ron is saying, should Blue Yonder put more marketing? And maybe we should bring up the Blue Yonder story here. Put more marketing and portfolio development emphasis, providing stronger integration with certain major systems like SAP, overcoming potential hurdles for companies relying on those ERPs. So I'm going to provide a little comment here, and then obviously you guys can provide as well. So I don't know where this comment is coming from. So number one, is Blue Yonder not doing enough marketing? They are definitely doing a lot of marketing as far as my understanding goes. I mean, they are a fairly big company and a brand. And portfolio development emphasis, providing a stronger integration. And again, I mean, the majority of their logos are going to be around SAP sort of install base for the most part, as far as my understanding goes. Again, their market share is now taken by companies like E2Open because obviously you have a lot more competition now. But for the most part, when you look at a supply chain suite, Blue Yonder is still sort of the go-to suite. And one of the reasons why companies go there is because they are going to have integration with SAP. Otherwise, I don't know how they are going to play alone. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure about the comment. Maybe Ron, if you have more comments there, provide some more feedback. If anybody else has, please go. Robert,
I mean, part of that system, part of the point here was, in fact, that ability to integrate out into the network, right? So, I mean, to me, that seemed like what they were trying to say. Maybe they weren't clear enough, but I think that's a part of what they were trying to do with the announcement.
Yeah, I completely do agree with you, Sam, that their marketing is good and their play is standalone customers and customers that they can integrate with, like an SAP and their customers. So I think that they already have this. I'm assuming that the marketing could maybe be more industry specific, maybe. But okay, let's move on. We got another couple comments as well.
Okay, so we have Shashi. Shashi is really enjoying this.
He's just jealous. He's just jealous because he didn't join today. That's it.
But he's the greatest cheerleader for this group.
I know.
Absolutely.
I know. He is the
Absolutely.
greatest cheerleader in the world. Okay, so we have one more comment here. So we have Nigel. Thanks for joining. I think the right word for conversation rather than event-driven. Picture create me a draft PO to buy some same grill, I guess, from ACME that we received yesterday. To buy that.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely the point. I agree with him completely that you get to the point where, his example's great, right? I want to buy something. I'm just going to tell my agent, create a draft PO to buy the same grill from Acme that we used yesterday. I mean, I think that's where we're going from a UI perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very interesting comment and very interesting take. I'll take slightly different. Again, I'm going to have my budget strategy here, which you guys don't appreciate. But overall, I guess there is a difference when you are exchanging financial data and when you are having just a conversation. So generally, just a conversation is far easier to have. You can have a lot more event-driven architecture there. But when you are exchanging financial data, you have financial interaction. Things become a little different. Yes, from the supplier collaboration perspective is the comment. There is a lot of collaboration happening, but that conversation is slightly different than just the chatter and the noise and a little bit of marketing conversation, I would say. So that would be my take on that, unless you guys have any other comment on that. Shashi has one more. He's saying everyone wakes up in the morning with the same thought. Exactly. Yeah. Everybody wants so much software
Absolutely.
in their life. Yeah. Yeah. Nobody wants Blue Jays, everybody wants software.
Well, I actually just ran through AI, ChatGPT, who's going to win the World Series, and it said that the favorite is the Los Angeles Dodgers. Don't say that. Don't talk back to me like that. The Cardinals are like the legends of the world. We don't have the money that the Blue Jays have, because we don't get the money from the Niagara Falls that that we get those tax incentives that you get, and you can use those to buy players. We can't do that.
The problem is in the name.
Nobody visits the Arch anymore, so they visit Niagara Falls. What's wrong with the name of the Cardinal?
Because it does not have blue.
Yeah. So anyway,
yeah. Moving on.
Yeah, so
that's okay. I asked Perplexity just to compete with you, Robert, and they say the LA Dodgers are widely considered favorites to win.
Well, they said that the Blue Jays make it, they're going to be very dangerous. So
if you did that yesterday, they would have said Yankees were the favorites. Okay, that was the consensus, and they are already out.
I'm just telling you, that's what it said. I don't know.
Okay, so Ron has a comment here. Key, are the Blue Jays better off facing the Mariners or the Tigers? I don't want to face both of them, to be completely honest. Okay, they are equally dangerous. I don't know. You guys tell me.
I don't have we're going to root for the Blue Jays to get in no matter what, and everybody's going to be tough.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that.
we got your back. We got your back, Sam.
If it makes you feel better, Sam, that Perplexity said Toronto Blue Jays are the second favorite. So it did actually put them on the list.
Guys, second, come on. What are you talking about?
I'm just giving you the story.
Everything has to
maybe try Grok.
That could be, yeah. Although I'm not sure we could use what Grok produced.
Maybe try Canadian GPT.
Yeah.
One more from Ron, and then
okay. Okay, so Ron is saying thanks for the comment. It reflected that some orgs have had integration issues with ERP. That's all. Yeah, you are right. I mean, there are always going to be issues with ERP integration. That is not changing anytime soon. Okay, we have one more comment from Andy. So Andy is saying Blue Yonder are losing deals to Oracle because Oracle pushes the single platform message and customers are buying off on it. Blue Yonder need to market more that they are seamlessly integrated into Oracle and SAP. And Andy, I get it, man. I mean, you are the Oracle guy, and why you would feel that. I'm not too sure about the comment, though. I don't know who has more deals right now, at least from the supply chain suite perspective. But I mean, Blue Yonder is doing very, very
well. Let's go back to what he's really saying. I think it goes back to that trust. Blair was really adamant about how trust is a big deal. It goes back to that single source of responsibility. I think customers want less of a technology stack, and I do think that what Oracle is doing does work. I think they're not the only ones that do that. Microsoft does it as well, but I do think it's an important thing to recognize that these customers want to have one solution system, a single solution, and I think that maybe if the customers aren't perceiving it that way, maybe it's a marketing shift a little bit. I don't know, Michael. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean that could very well be the case. So integration's hard, and I don't, it always has been, and maybe talking about it more helps customers get past the fact that it is, that not necessarily the single platform always is the best choice. I don't know. So yeah, I think that
But you want something you want to play well with,
going to play
play
well
well with
with
others. So even if it's not a single stack, you want that, really
Yeah.
good tight integration.
Yep,
So,
absolutely.
so Robert, it really depends upon the industry, I guess. So the industry where Blue Yonder is playing, in those
Yep.
industries, the single platform strategy would not work. And the reason for that is when you are trying to achieve is probably the right word. I don't know if that is the 2 millisecond transaction time. For your retail transaction, and when you have to move 2,000 tables that come with your ERP, it doesn't work. So that's
Yeah.
why Blue Yonder is probably a fit for those industries, and it would never be a single platform for retail-like industries. So again, depending upon the industry and use cases, I would say.
Well, let's kind of come to a conclusion, I think, versus taking another story. Let's talk a little bit about what you're most excited about for the rest of the year. I know it's event season. Everybody's got probably some events that they have to go to. I know I have a bunch on my calendar, but then also who you think is going to win the World Series. Let's start with Blair.
Oh, don't ask me about the World Series. I was rooting for the Yankees, so
Okay.
I'm out
Yeah.
on that one.
You just made
What
it
I'm most
into the
excited
team.
about is coming from the CX world, I just want to see demos turned into reality. We see so many awesome, agentic AI agent demos, and every vendor does them. Half of them are about, booking airline reservations, but that's another thing. But, these demos are awesome, but I want to see reality when it comes to, Gen AI. Well, Gen AI is kind of there, but, these AI agents, and, I just want to see more real use cases and not just really cool demos.
I like that. Michael, what do you think?
Well, yeah, the thing that and this kind of came through in a few things today, but the thing I think about this more and more is that we need an agentic AI middleware sort of focus here, right? The every company's trying all these different AI initiatives, but there's not really a automated way to get that orchestration layer to coordinate agents, tools, APIs, humans, all those different things. I think that's going to be the focus because it's going to start to break more and more. The more tools you put in without connecting the middle to be able to get the right data to the right place at the right time and orchestrate all the activities with the agents, that's just going to be more and more important. So to me, that's it. And then I have to say, from a World Series perspective, no idea, but I'm just going to go with perplexity. It said Dodgers, so I'm going to go Dodgers.
I'm not the reason why I don't like the Dodgers because they do spend way more money than everybody else. I think it's obnoxious and it takes my Cardinals out of their loop. So I'm going to go with the Toronto Blue Jays. But I will tell you that I do agree with both of you, and Blair's specific. What you said is, how do we see these things in action? I mean, I've seen some of these demos at the events, and I'll make it quick, that it's not reality. And because it's the data is not there, you're not going to get what they're putting in the system on a regular basis.
And it's such specific, things that they're it's not real life. It's, asking about one or two specific things.
And I think the data is a major problem, and it has to be addressed for all the things that we always talk about. And it's a big deal. So what do you think, Sam? You close out and
Yeah, so I'm going to have a little bad news for you overall in terms of spending, I guess. The Blue Jays are probably the third highest spender as well. So they are right there, I guess, with Dodgers.
well, you went first, so that's why I like. Yeah, so
So I don't know if you want to root for them because of the spending habits. I mean, they definitely are spending. It's just a different year, and we are lucky this year, to be completely honest. If it were 2024, I mean, we would be at a very different place now. But overall, from the World Series perspective, I'm still thinking that it's probably going to be Dodgers. I mean, they have the realistic chance.
Okay, so then if Toronto wins, you owe me something because I'm rooting for you and you're not rooting for you. That's not good. You got to stick to your.
I'm trying to be social here, guys. Okay,
obviously. Well, and he doesn't want to be disappointed.
That's okay.
So maybe it's like set your expectations so that if you lose, you're not too disappointed, and if you win,
Kershaw, set the bar low. It's easy to beat. Yeah, I like that. That's good.
Yeah, right now I think it's a very even field, depending upon how things go. I mean, I still feel that Phillies may have a better chance, I would say, depending upon how the next game goes over Dodgers. So if they are out in the next game, it's going to be really interesting. And a lot of analysts, they were predicting Phillies to do really well. So I don't know. I mean, Phillies, Dodgers, they both are very strong. Surprisingly, they are in the same bucket. Blue Jays they were never as strong, to be completely honest. They are just doing as well, I guess, from the team perspective. But we are over time right now. So we need to close. If you guys are okay with that, thank you so much, guys, for joining. We meet here every Thursday. This was Analyst Gone Wild. Sometimes we do Analyst Gone Blue. So today was that. Thank you so much for joining.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.